Sure. I'm good. Good evening. I would like to call this meeting to order. Mr. Lotzenheiser, may I have the roll call, please?
President Wade, please let the record show that all 5 board members are in attendance tonight.
Thank you. Please join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
That would be Ms. Schultz, seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Mr. Lotzenheiser, you're up.
Good evening, President Wade, members of the board. With Higley Happenings, our Adventures in Excellence tonight, we're going to recognize 2 students for some outstanding accomplishments that they did over the summer in representing not just Higley Unified, but even Gilbert and the United States on a grander scale. And so, if I could have Colton Mortensen come to the front for me, please. Let's give Colton a round of applause. Colton, come all the way down. I'm going to have you come all the way down here. I got a handheld mic for you. So this summer, Colton had a remarkable achievement. He won the Under-18 Beach World Championship qualifier representing Team USA in the Dominican Republic this summer for beach volleyball. The dedication and hard work that Colton has shown is truly commendable. His achievement highlights the spirit of excellence that we strive for every day. Let's just take a moment to appreciate that all he's accomplished, and he found something out a couple weeks ago as well, that he is not just the qualifier, but he's part of the 8-man roster to go to the World Championship, U18 World Championships in Qatar this October. So a big accomplishment. So I've asked Colton just to say a couple words about his experience, again, representing Team USA.
Thank you, everyone. So yeah, we went to the Dominican Republic, and it was a super cool experience. I went with my partner Maddox, who goes to Mountain View. So me and him were the only 2 that got called out to represent USA, both from Arizona. And our first game, we ended up losing to Mexico, but then we fought back and we ended up beating teams like Puerto Rico, Ecuador. We beat Canada in the championship. So it was just a super cool experience. The staff there was great. Everybody was super supportive. And yeah, it was super fun. Glad I got to do it.
Again, big round of applause for Colton. Colton, we're going to do a picture right here in the middle. The board's going to come down and we're going to do a picture. I don't know if you guys have watched beach volleyball, but the athleticism displayed, nonstop action all the time. I told Colton I'm very impressed, and I could never keep up. All right, our next student from Higley High School, could I have Elise Miner please join me up here? Elise is from Higley High, was selected as one of the 2025 Youth Ambassadors for Gilbert Sister Cities. Gilbert Sister Cities, founded in 1998, promotes international understanding through various programs. In June, she spent 3 weeks in Antrim, Newton Abbey, Northern Ireland, before returning to Gilbert to welcome her visiting ambassador. Elise is a perfect ambassador for us as she exemplifies the qualities of a responsible citizen, demonstrating integrity, global awareness, and community involvement. And I've asked Elise to talk a little bit about her experience being this youth ambassador for Gilbert Sister Cities.
Yes, so this was such a cool opportunity. It was like the best summer ever. So I went through a process. It started in September and it ended in like March. So it was a long process. You had to do interviews, you had to do clinics, you had to go to different events. I met with the mayor, I met with different people that were head of the Gilbert board. And it was so cool to just learn about this other country. It's beautiful over there. And to learn their culture and their customs. And then it was so fun when the student came back and stayed with us, to show him what Gilbert is about and also America and different things that we have in our culture. So it was a super cool experience.
Let's jump out and take a picture. When I met with Elise and asked her about how it went and all the different things, come on, guys. I'm sorry, I'm just filling time. No. I said, what was the most interesting thing that you learned throughout this? And her comment was, all the things they have in common. Mm-hmm. It wasn't what that was different about what was happening with Northern Ireland. It's about the commonalities they found. I thought that was really neat and a wonderful insight. Finally, we would like to take this opportunity to congratulate our exceptional finance department for the professionalism and dedication to supporting quality education. Higley has been awarded the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting from ASBO for the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ending in June 30th, 2024. This prestigious accolade highlights the district's commitment to transparency and effective financial management in alignment with its strategic plan. The certificate is awarded following a rigorous review by financial experts, ensuring precise public reporting. So if we could just have a round of applause for our finance department and the outstanding recognition that they have. And that concludes our report for tonight. Next, we're up to upcoming events. As you can take a look at the list up there, August 14th, we have the virtual Navigating College ASU. One of the things we're trying to do is definitely make connections with our in-state universities, providing these opportunities for parents to connect as they're trying to figure out what the next steps for their students are. So you see the ASU, U of A, and NAU coming up Monday, September 1st, Labor Day, and then our next governing board meeting is on September 16th. If you'll take a look at Thursday, September 11th, that's our school visit to Santan, and we invite all of the board members to join us there, where we can experience the successes of the kids and the teachers while they lead us through tours and presentations. And that concludes upcoming events. Members of the governing board, I'd like to read a statement concerning my decision to withdraw my request to sit on the dais with the governing board. After much reflection and thought, I've decided to withdraw my request to sit on the dais with the governing board. While there's not a policy that determines the seating arrangements at a governing board meeting, I respect that changes should come before the governing board. My goal is to unite, not divide, and to bring us together so we can focus on providing the best for our students, our teachers, and our community. I've received feedback on both sides of this issue, from teachers, administrators, parents, community members, and governing board members. One member asked me specifically to withdraw my request due to concerns about dividing our community. While we may not always agree on everything, it is through productive struggle and discussion that we find ways to keep the focus on student outcomes and student successes, not seating arrangements. I am the governing board's one employee, and it is my hope that we can continue to work together for the betterment of our district. We have so many things to celebrate, in Higley as we provide limitless opportunities for student success. Let us continue to be the highest performing district in the East Valley where students thrive. I appreciate your understanding in this matter and your dedication to HUSD. As we say in Higley, together, we got this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lotzenheiser. This will be the final call for public comment. So if you have not turned it in, if you could hand it in to Ms. Zimmerman as she makes her way up to the dais. That looks like we're good there. If we could, please play the video.
We value input from our constituents. This time on our agenda has been set aside for anyone from the audience who wishes to address the board. Those that wish to speak should have filled out speaker cards, which are due prior to the start of our meeting. Members of the board may not discuss, comment, or take action on matters raised that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38-431.01I, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. Also, we ask that audience members practice proper public meeting decorum, refraining from either negative or positive responses, including clapping or verbal outbursts, to ensure fairness to all points of view. Those that refuse to follow these rules may be asked to leave. In accordance with Policy BEDH public participation at board meetings, if considered necessary, the governing board president shall set a time limit on the length of the comment period in order to ensure that each individual has an opportunity to address the board. The president may also set a time limit for individual speakers. Thank you for your cooperation.
First up, we have Jenna Schmidl.
Long time no see. First, my voice will bring awareness of and support for the Mandarin Chinese dual language immersion program offered in the Higley Unified School District. I spoke of this program in detail during the March 4th school board meeting. I thank the board for taking action to help preserve this unique and vital program. I encourage the public to learn more about actions they can take to help preserve this unique and vital program. Second, I will share some examples of the professionalism of the Higley Unified School District staff who care deeply for the students they serve. The principal greets the students curbside every morning and sees them off each afternoon, even helping push a car to safety, giving credit to the mom out there pushing too. The front office person knows students by name and what classrooms they go to and suggests a buddy system so they get to the correct places. The assistant principal holds the door for students as they arrive and makes note of new musical instruments they carry. The crossing guard keeps people safe as they go to and from school. The teacher enjoys giving fun Friday raffle tickets to the students. Staff, parents, and students of each grade level participated in wearing a color a day to help kindergartners learn their colors. On Meet the Teacher Night, 3 different teachers on 2 different campuses greeted my children and answered all of their questions. Engaging activities allowed them to spend some time feeling more comfortable in bright and vibrant classrooms. My children are confident and happy as they attend school. I am thankful for the kind and caring professionals who work hard for them every day. Finally, I will emphasize that the students, teachers, and support staff of Higley Unified School District can continue to do amazing things as we work together to preserve and secure resources for every aspect of the district. We deserve librarians, and we've already lost some of the best ones there were. We deserve bus services. High schoolers should not have to walk in the horrible heat. Custodians are essential. We deserve gym class. We deserve art class. We deserve music class. We deserve up-to-date and safe campuses. We deserve the Mandarin Chinese dual language immersion program. We deserve programs supporting all students of various abilities. Higley Unified School District offers unique and vital programs for the success of current and future students. Let's continue to thrive.
Up next, we have Stephanie Giddings.
Good evening. Transparency from this district is not a privilege. It is a right and a necessity. Yet right now, minimum discipline consequences are being applied unequally to students in the same grades, within the same schools, and across this district. When discipline is inconsistent and minimum standards of conduct are viewed subjectively, it doesn't just harm the students treated unfairly, it dismantles trust, damages school culture, and sends the message that the rules only matter for some. When I requested data to determine whether discipline is equitably distributed in this district, the district first claimed no such records existed. Only after pressure and threats of legal action were suspension records produced. However, by this point, the district knew exactly what I sought to point out, and as a result, the grade level and school data was redacted, citing FERPA. To be clear, FERPA protects identifiable student information, but grade level and school without names or other personally identifiable data are not protected. The U.S. Department of Education's own guidance confirms this. Without this information, neither the public nor the board can verify whether students are disciplined fairly. Without transparency, there's no accountability. Without accountability, inequities remain hidden and our children at risk. Inequity is happening. In the same grade at the same school, one student folded a piece of paper, made a gun sound, and said nothing. They were suspended for 3 days as if they made a credible threat. Not long after, another student in that same grade at the same school verbally stated they wanted to go home, get a knife, return to campus, stab their entire class, their teacher, and then kill themselves. Under policy, that is a school threat and a mandatory minimum 9-day suspension. Instead, it was reduced to a lesser infraction of threatening and intimidating, which carries a minimum of 3 days suspension. So the question is simple. How does a folded piece of paper and a sound carry the same consequence as a stated desire to commit mass violence against 20+ children? When the answer is because of who the child or parent is, in this case, a current or former Higley employee student, that is not discretion, it is preferential treatment, a violation of policy, and a breach of trust. That student was also allowed to call their parent before police were ever notified. There is no ambiguity in minimum discipline. Discretion exists only between the minimum and maximum consequence. Administrators should never erase a minimum. When was the last time you audited lesser deviations from handbook minimums? When was the last time you compared discipline for the same offenses between schools in the same grade level? What is the point of minimums if threats can be examined through the lens of who made them instead of for the severity of the threat? If you can't answer, or if the answer is we don't track that, then you're not overseeing policy, you're allowing inequity to thrive. If you will not release the records, then outsource an audit. Do right by the students you are here to protect. The measure of your governance will not be how you handle easy cases, it will be how you confront the uncomfortable ones.
Next, we have Mary Ann.
Normally, I come here as a representative of the community. Tonight, I'm here as a representative of my child. I understand FERPA, but like the speaker before me, I have some very serious questions, and they regard Title IX. In the spring of '25, there was an incident on the AMP bus regarding a female student forcing a kiss upon my middle school child who was in 7th grade. Yes, we did report it to transportation and school administration. We found out recently from our child that it was much more than a kiss. that was forced, that there were some wandering hands involved. Our child was highly embarrassed by this, which is why it took her a long time to tell us what was going on, because she had hoped that when administration viewed the videotapes from Amp Bus, that they would notice the wandering hands that went down pants and up shirts. What is going on with Title IX? By law, I know from my own experience as a teacher that all school faculty are required 70 minutes a year of Title IX training. I also know by law that the Title IX coordinator position is not allowed to ever be empty. So what is going on with Higley's Title IX department? Because there's a systematic problem with this, and the issues my child faced are far less severe than the issues that are being reported from the various middle schools and high schools in this district. The girls in this district are sadly not being cared for as they should be. Thank you.
Next, we have Ann Borowski.
Hi. I've been in education, both as a teacher and as an administrator for the last 20 years. But my most important role is that of a mother of 2 children in the Higley School District. I have 2 topics to share today. First, I believe we have a marketing problem. The last statistic I heard was that 44% of Higley's boundary attendees are enrolled in Higley schools. That leaves 56% of students finding their education elsewhere. We need to send a message to the community about the benefits of a strong school district. Homeowners with or without children need to know that A-rated schools increase home values, contribute to safe neighborhoods, and more importantly, the quality of life inside the home is better, making their neighborhoods more desirable and safer. Let's promote our schools to get back the portion of the 56% that goes elsewhere. DLI programs, the arts, and electives are all opportunities that other school districts offer, and we need them to be able to compete. If we lose programs like DLI, we lose out-of-boundary enrollment, and it's likely that some in-boundary students will find other places to learn as well. It's not just about DLI. If we don't promote, we lose students. It's that simple. That brings me to my second topic. Pulling the Mandarin program from our kids for any reason is an injustice. I understand there are potential budget cuts on the horizon, but these children have been devoting their childhood to learning this culture and this highly difficult language, and it has become a part of them. I can't even begin to tell you how proud and amazed I am of how hard these students have worked, several earning their biliteracy certificate by the end of 6th grade. It's wrong to pull it out from underneath them. I can see phasing out the program or combining classes. There are several different choices to solve for budget cuts, but discontinuing the program is unfathomable, wrong, and simply embarrassing for an educational institution to even suggest. These kiddos, my kiddos, deserve a chance to keep going on the path you offered them. Please don't take such a momentous opportunity away. It not only hurts our youth, but it hurts Higley as well. Thank you.
Next, we have Travis White.
Good evening, President Wade, members of the board, superintendent, community members. First, I want to thank you for your service to our district. I know your role is not easy, and I appreciate the time and energy you put into supporting our students. I could not attend the last board meeting in person, but boy was I disappointed when I watched the video on YouTube. I'm at a loss for words that people are concerned about where people are sitting in this room when we just cut $5 million from our budget, 80 positions, and have 5 million more planned for cuts, and we're trying to come together as a community to pass a bond override. I would encourage us to keep our focus on what will truly move the needle for Higley students, like funding, programs, and enrollment. Every minute we spend on distractions is a minute taken from advancing our mission. I want to talk about 2 key areas I believe our board can make a difference right now. The bond override. We all know the realities. Without passing the upcoming bond override, our ability to maintain competitive facilities, programs, and salaries will be severely impacted.
I'm sorry, Mr. White, we're not capable of talking about the override at the present moment in that it counts as electioneering.
From my understanding, I hear you, and I don't want to take any more of my time, but I would like to talk to you about that afterwards, for sure. I think, Ms. Van Hook, you were recently quoted in IW Features as stating, "My constituents voted me in to be their voice, and I will continue to do that as long as they'll have me. We as adults have to protect the innocence of our children, and if we don't, why are we here?" If you truly believe in protecting the innocence of the children and being a voice for your constituents, I hope that you can come around and help us support funding for our district. My experiences at Cooley for pre-K and now Coronado for kindergarten have been nothing short of fantastic. I'm so proud of our Mandarin program and community that has been built and fostered since long before my time. I want to give a quick praise to my daughter's teacher, Ms. Whittier, who has been absolutely incredible for both years, engaging, creative, and deeply invested in my daughter's success. She's just one example of the talent we have in Higley. Our teachers are our greatest asset, and we must protect and promote that by ensuring that they have the resources, professional respect, and public recognition they deserve. I ask that we stay laser focused on our priorities, attracting and retaining students, supporting our educators who make Higley exceptional. So make sure our time and resources are aligned with those goals.
Next, we have Samuel Warren.
Good evening. My name is Sam Warren, and I'm the father of a first grader in the Mandarin Dual Immersion Language Program at Coronado Elementary School. I'm here to speak in support of the Dual Immersion Language Program and the other elementary electives which are at risk as our budgets are being scrutinized and shrinking. The Mandarin Dual Immersion Language Program represents a competitive advantage that sets HUSD apart from other schools. Students graduate from this program prepared for elite education opportunities, like the Chinese Leadership Flagship Program at ASU, where participants become completely fluent in Mandarin, more fluency than even a major would provide. Higley families who take advantage of the dual immersion program are setting their children up to be business leaders, intelligence analysts. They're setting their children up for a lifetime of success. If budget cuts continue to be necessary, this program will be reduced or cut. That means lost jobs. Teachers who are native Mandarin speakers will be consolidated or let go. It means that HUSD will lose one of their main competitive advantages over the charter schools. It's not just the Mandarin Dual Immersion Program that is in danger. If budget cuts continue into the coming school year, all of the major elementary electives are in danger. That's elementary band and orchestra, art, media/library technology, and elementary music. These are all programs that would be eliminated in order to meet the cuts. Free full-day kindergarten is also at risk. At a time when the biggest factor in decreasing enrollment is the aging of the neighborhood, requiring young families to pay for kindergarten care will only further disincentivize new families from moving here. To the community, I would say that HUSD has better passing percentages in math, English language arts, and science than both the statewide average and peer districts. It pays teachers well and has excellent operational efficiency measures. HUSD only has one administrator for every 71 students, compared to peer districts who have one administrator for every 63 students, or the state, which is 1 in 60. My wife and I spent a long time looking for the right school for our son, Teddy. We toured nearly every public, private, and charter school in the Gilbert area. We could not be happier that we found Coronado Elementary School. Our son is excelling and is finally speaking Mandarin at home, which means he's finally able to talk to his grandfather. I want to thank the school district and the board for creating such a wonderful place for our children to learn. And I encourage the community to educate yourselves on what is at stake in our district in the coming months, and to encourage you to seek out information on how you can best support all Higley students. Thank you.
Next, we have Heather Balch.
Good evening, Governing Board. I just wanted to say that it's been a great start to this school year. As a speech therapist, I get the privilege of working with my students for multiple years, and the growth that I've seen in my students from last year to this year is just amazing, and it brings a smile to my face when I get to work with them. Along those lines, I did just want to point out on our consent agenda item 5.15, we are having to bring in a contracted speech therapist this year. It does cost the district more. My history with Higley is long. When I first started, there were a lot of contracted employees, and we worked really hard to build an amazing speech therapist program, and that grew to OT and PT and HI and VI and all of the things. But unfortunately, the salaries are competitive. And so I just wanted to bring to light that we need to remember that when we're making our salaries, that if the position doesn't get filled, we end up spending a lot more. I also wanted to thank the board members who have responded to my emails. I really appreciate that. I realize we may not always view or have the same viewpoints. We might not always agree, but I do appreciate that you read my emails and you kindly respond. I wish that all board members were able to do the same courtesy to us. Finally, I want to say thank you to you, Mr. Lotzenheiser. I love the Higley Minute. It's refreshing, it's bright, it's different. It really allows, I think, our community and our staff to connect with you and to know that you're approachable and you're here for our students, our families, our community, and your staff. So thank you. I do want to encourage everyone to educate themselves and vote. It is a mail-in ballot this year. That's all I'll say.
Next, we have Kathleen Richards.
Good evening, President Wade, board, and administration. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I also wanted to echo what Ms. Balch just said about the communication that we've kicked off this year with. Having been in this district now for 10 years, I think this has been a really stellar example of communication with our community, from the Higley Minute to various increased communication that I've seen coming from campuses. I'm also seeing more cross-campus communication, and by that I mean my youngest child attends Higley Traditional Academy. We just got an invitation at HTA to attend a Williams Field football game for free if the kiddo is wearing their Higley Traditional Academy shirt. Going along with that idea of our marketing and promoting the things that we do really well, I think that even internally within our community, being able to point our kids in the direction of where we assume they will go, but we all know that families sometimes make a different choice. But if we're able to educate those families from the time that their kids are tiny all the way up into their graduating year of high school, it certainly affords us the opportunity to spread the good word about Higley and for our community to see more of the great things that are happening. That said, I was really disappointed, honestly, Mr. Lotzenheiser, that you decided to cede the conversation around where you're sitting, mostly because I think it's ridiculous that we are spending time arguing and that any individual would feel that it was necessary to go outside of here and campaign against something like a seat at a table. We are a community. We all work together. And when individuals make the decision to say things that make it very clear that they are not interested in being a part of the team, it does leave the community asking questions, which I hear every day, wanting to know what the reasons are that our board members choose to serve, because it does not always seem like those service times, and I recognize this is a lot of work. and it is an unpaid job, and it is enough work to be a full-time job. However, our community does see these things, whether they're here in this space, whether they choose to watch them afterwards, and they talk about it, and it's not a great look. And when we have amazing things happening in our community, we have students that are being recognized, as we saw tonight. We have teachers that are being asked to speak at national conferences about the work that they're doing in our classrooms because it is innovative and strong and where we are going in education. The idea that we would be wasting time fussing over where somebody chooses to sit is just disappointing. So I do hope that the board can find a way to come together to echo the slogan that seems to be taking the year, which I very much enjoy, the idea of together, we've got this. We are a team whether we like it or not. And so we just need to start working together a lot better. Thank you.
Next, we have Anna Van Hook.
As a taxpayer in this district, I am extremely disappointed to see that our district has once again used students to electioneer on school grounds during curriculum night. Students were instructed to hand parents override flyers and tell them that the override must pass. These students had no idea what they were saying, only that they were to hand every parent a pamphlet and deliver the message that this must pass. Did we not learn anything from the fries incident last year? Is this another case of just break the law and ask for forgiveness later? The fact that our Attorney General is not enforcing the law does not give the district permission to ignore it. ARS 15-511 defines influencing the outcome of an election as supporting or opposing a candidate for nomination or election to public office or recall of a public officer, or supporting or opposing a ballot measure, question or proposition, including any bond, budget, override, election, in any manner that is not impartial or neutral. The AG opinion I-15-002 explains that for public resources to be used lawfully, they must be free from any misleading tendencies, including amplification, omission, or rhetorical strategies. They must also avoid selective facts that present only one side of an issue. The flyers that were distributed through the students at curriculum night do exactly that. They are selective in the facts they present, omit important context, and use persuasive framing. That is not neutral, that is advocacy, and that is exactly what 15-511 prohibits. And beyond the content itself, the use of students as political couriers, even voluntary, is deeply inappropriate. Our students should not be used as tools to push a political message on behalf of the district. It raises serious concerns about coercion, the misuse of public resources, and the erosion of trust with parents and the community. I, along with many parents, want clear answers as to why this happened again, a firm commitment to comply with the law, and immediate action to ensure that this type of electioneering using students never happens again. Thank you.
I motion to approve the consent agenda. I will call the vote when you sit. I can motion at the present if somebody's willing. I motion to approve the consent agenda.
I actually move to make a change to the consent agenda.
Second.
What are we seconding here?
I will explain it. Give me a minute. I move to remove 518 from the consent, oops. Sorry, there. Okay, I'm going to read it again. I move to remove item 518 from the consent agenda because it is no longer needed. The district applied for monetary assistance to repair the failing cooling towers at Cooley Middle School, and last week we received confirmation from the State Facilities Division that funding has been approved to cover the repairs, and the estimated cost of the repairs is $205,890. With this fund secured, this item can be removed from the agenda. Otherwise, there will be duplicate.
Before I make a motion, I don't know who needs to answer this question, but I would like at least some clarification.
Madam Board Member, according to our procurement rules, it is the belief of the district we still have to approve the purchase based on it being over $100,000. We do understand we will be reimbursed some or all of that. And Ms. Rushkamp, please correct me if I am wrong.
Nope, that is correct. Because we have hit the $100,000 mark, we still have to approve it.
Okay. Just for clarification, this is, even in this case, we can get reimbursement, those types of things, but this is true in all cases that it exceeds the amount?
That is correct.
Okay. So from a legal perspective, because there still is the motion, does anybody have a comment that you would like to make before I motion to vote on Ms. Van Hook's motion?
President Wade, yes, I appreciate the explanation. I just assume that because of the funding that's coming from the state, that this would have duplicated the, I guess, the approval, and it would create a $400,000 versus just approving the $200,000 that's already being covered from them. So I appreciate the explanation. Thank you.
So are we withdrawing?
So
are we withdrawing your motion then?
I mean, if it's already seconded, can we withdraw if it's already been seconded? You guide me.
Welcome aboard.
So, board members, my name's Carrie O'Brien from Gus Roosevelt. This is my first time with you, so nice to be with you. I believe the board member, Ms. Van Hook, who made the motion, could rescind it.
Okay, great.
So in that case, I withdraw my motion. Thank you.
Okay, now I understand why you wanted to be here for that. That makes sense. I motion to approve the consent agenda items. Did we do that already? I don't think so.
Second.
All right, Ms. Schultz has seconded the consent agenda items. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Let's move that page.
Madam President, can I just thank
Oh, yeah, sure,
one
go
of the
ahead.
items that, okay, well, it's getting something approved from the School Facilities Board is no easy task. They do have more money for emergency things, and so just thank you to Higley for going out. Some school districts would just dip into their own pocket, and so it is a process, and I thank you for going through that, and we appreciate it. It allows us to spend our money on other things.
For sure, thank you. I would also like to thank Higley High Girls Volleyball Boosters and Brooke Garrett, Maricopa County Colleges, and Higley High Booster Club for their generous donations to the district. Mr. Lotzenheiser, you have an introduction?
I do. Madam President, members of the board, as you know, we have an open executive director of finance and operations position. However, with the approval of the consent agenda, we are now going to have an interim CFO that will be leading our finance department. And I'd like to warmly welcome, as she's already answered a question tonight, Mrs. Sharon Rushkamp, who is our interim CFO. Mrs. Rushkamp has been with the district for quite a while, and we were very happy when she said that she would step up and lead the department. And as you saw in our status report, we divided some of the other duties so that we can service all of the different departments with an appropriate cabinet member level. And again, it's an understanding that when something happens, we divide and conquer. And in Higley, we came together, figured out a solution for what we needed to do. And another example of together we got this. Thank you.
Thank you, and congrats, Ms. Rushkamp. This brings us to information items. We're on item 6.1, Satellite Career and Technical Education, CTE programs. Mr. Pearson, Assistant Director of Career and Technical Education, has a presentation. Mr. Pearson, you're up.
Madam President, board members, thank you for inviting me here tonight to do this presentation on our satellite CTE programs. Let's see if this is gonna, okay. As you know, career and technical education aligns perfectly with our strategic anchors in each of the 4 different categories. And so I just have that on here again as a reminder that our strategic plan leads us to the actions that we take, and CTE is definitely aware of that and is happy to help support that. Currently, for the 25-26 school year, Higley Unified School District is offering these satellite programs to our schools. We have 11 programs at Williamsfield High School, including biotechnology, criminal justice, digital photography, graphic design, early childhood education, engineering, film and TV production, marketing, software development, sports medicine, and technical theater. And at Higley High School, we have all of these same programs with the exception of the biotechnology and the digital photography program. Our satellite and central campus CTE enrollment for this year is, satellite enrollment is sitting at 2,575 student seats in our classes, as well as 455 students at our EVIT central campuses. This represents a 4% growth over the past 5 years for our HUSD satellite programs and a 212% growth in the past 5 years at our EVIT programs. With that, I believe that our satellite programs are uniquely set and have been pretty stable for the last 3 to 4 years. And so I believe the number of programs that we offer are appropriate for the students at our satellite campuses. Our current satellite programs all offer at least one industry or professional credential. And the list of those credentials is here. To belabor it, I'm not going to go ahead and read through each one of those, but there are a total of 22 unique certifications that students can earn through the CTE programs at our satellite programs. And as you'll see here in a little bit, our students are doing very well at earning those certifications. Along with those certifications, the dual enrollment opportunities for our students at our satellite campuses is tremendous. We have over 100 dual enrollment credit hours that students can earn throughout the CTE. And we have a couple programs that also have the opportunity for students to earn their college certificate prior to graduating high school. And this last spring, we actually had 9 students from Williamsfield High School earn their criminal justice or their justice studies certificate prior to graduating high school last year. Our other program that allows that to happen is our early childhood education program. Students can earn their certificate there as well. Our Higley satellite CTE programs are currently participating in regional advisory boards. This kind of exemplifies our theme for the year of Together We've Got This. Higley has been leading this regional advisory board approach with Queen Creek High School, or Queen Creek School District, Apache Junction, Tempe, and Cone School Districts, where our teachers that have like programs on each of these districts gather together 3 times a year, and they bring industry professionals in to kind of guide and direct the direction of what they want to do. We start out at the career cluster group, so we bring all of the health sciences and all of the communication media technology groups together, and then we break out into our individual programs, and our industry professionals help lead and guide the discussion on our curriculum, on equipment, on opportunities for students, and then we come back to our local advisory board members that we have that come into our schools every day to do guest speaking or to help prepare students for competitions or give them opportunities to job shadow or go out on internships, and we bring all of that together. So that regional approach has really been something that we're very proud of and that we're excited about continuing this year. As you know, CTE is measured by the state on 8 different performance measures. The first 4 of these performance measures are actually academic, and the second 4 are specific to CTE. I'm proud to say that Higley Unified School District, again this year, has met the state's performance standards in every one of these categories. And I'd especially like to point out that there's 2 columns on the right side. There's one that says 90% of the adjusted performance level, and there's the column next to it. The column next to it is 100, would be 100%. And Higley outperformed the state's goals in every one of these categories at the 100% level, not just the 90% level. 2 of those areas that I like to point out that are of particular pride for me and our program and our teachers is our industry recognized credentials. Last year when I presented this information, the state's performance goal for industry credentials was 36%. As you can see now, the state has increased their performance goal to 85.92%. And that's because satellite CTE programs across the state and here at Higley have really pushed certifications for our students and understanding the importance of these certifications and these licenses. And so the state was easily able to raise that by almost 50%. With that, you can see that Higley Unified School District, our graduating class of 2025, of our 379 students that graduated and completed a program last year, 348 of them earned at least 1 certification or license, putting our certification rate at 91.8%. So well above that 85% the state sets as that average. And on our technical skills assessment, that's the test that our students take at the end of their 2-year programs, and it's measured against the state's standards. You can see that our Higley students, again, our graduating class last year had 90% pass rate for our seniors on that, where the state's goal is a 76.2. So these are no small feats, and all of this goes to the quality of the teachers that we have and the quality of their programs and their dedication to making sure that students are learning their standards and learning everything they need to earn those certifications. Another thing I want to point out about our satellite programs here, as you're aware, every 5 years, the state of Arizona monitors all CTE programs. They go through a grueling process of 6 months of collecting data and looking at all aspects of those programs. Teachers are writing narratives, they're supplying samples of curriculum, assessments, they are looking at the data of persistence as well as performance in those programs. And all 19 of our programs that were monitored in 2024 met compliance. But not only did they meet compliance, all 19 of our programs earned the Distinguished Quality Programs level, which is the highest level that a CTE program can earn in the state. And I'm proud to say that we are the only district in the East Valley that had every program earn Distinguished. As you're aware, CTE receives their funding through 3 different sources. We receive it through pass-through funding from the state that passes through the EVIT CTED to our satellite programs. We also receive funding through our Perkins grant and our state priority grant. The numbers on here are for what we received last year, as we have not received our full Perkins and priority allocation, and we have not received an estimate from EVIT this year of what our funding will be for this year. But last year, our total CTE budget for the district was $2.99 million. With that, the way that we've budgeted that for this year is that we have $1.7 million that covers salary and benefits, an additional $180,000 in reserve for computer lab upgrades per our schedule. We have approximately $560 that we are we're utilizing right now that you approved to build out a state-of-the-art criminal justice lab at Williams Field High School. I'm proud to say that it was signed off on today. We can start moving it in furniture, and that we'll be doing a public presentation or a public open house to that here in the near future. The remaining $528,000 is budgeted for supplies, equipment, professional development, student conferences, competitions, travel, CTSO, and advisory board stipends for the teachers. A few highlights of our Higley programs over the last year. In 2025, CTE students at Higley Unified School District earned over 500 industry certifications and the credentials, with a 91.8% of our completers earning at least 1 certification. In 2025, our CTSOs, those are our student organizations like HOSA, DECA, Skills USA, sent over 100 students to nationally recognized competitions, and our students brought back dozens and dozens of awards. Our criminal justice program, I'm going to jump down to the bottom green one there. Our criminal justice program, which is our largest program in the district, has gone to nationals 2 years in a row and has placed at the national level 2 years in a row at the secondary level and the post-secondary level. Our early childhood education students, that program continues to grow and continues its success to a point where we have outgrown not just one of our early childhood centers, but both of them. And we are now placing students at 3 of our elementary schools as well for their second and third year. So the students get that hands-on real-world experience working with kids every single day. And in our sports medicine program, it currently is partnering with Chandler Gilbert Community College and the National Association of Sports Medicine to offer a new program for the state. And ADE approved this program last spring. We'll be going and taking this to EVIT this fall to have them approve it, but it is for exercise and wellness. And this program is going to lead to jobs and careers in nutrition and personal coaching and personal training. In the past, I've talked about our future, what future projects we're going to be working on, but this year I wanted to change it up a little bit and just give you some updates on some of the future projects that we've had over the last year or so. So one of our goals was to align some of our middle school exploratory programs with the high school pathways so that we would provide a purposeful continuation of programs. Introducing CTE to students at younger ages gives them a better opportunity to understand what it is that they like, and sometimes a better opportunity to understand what they don't like, and so that they can make those choices, which is something that I believe will also help our persistence rate when they do get to the high school. But Cooley Middle School last year added to a graphic design and a digital photography program, and we're hoping to see that is going to help align and draw the correct students to those programs at the high school level as well. We expanded the sports medicine program to include a pathway for exercise science and personal training. So we're already offering a personal training program at Williamsfield High School, but with this new program that's been approved by the state, we'll be able to offer that program to both high schools, and we'll be able to also offer a nutrition certificate for those students as well. Last year, we updated the technical theater scene shop at Higley High School by taking a blighted area of the school with some really ugly curtains and putting in a partition wall and building it out so that we have a scene shop that the students can work on theater production things and do the training and everything they need to learn about being in the theater world, as far as on the back end, all of rigging and lighting and all of those areas of technical theater. And our focus moving forward is going to continue to focus on program outcomes. Even though our current certification and licensure pass rates are at 84% for this last spring, I'd like to continue driving that and pushing it. I believe that we can probably get that closer to 90% for all students. So that would be our goal for this upcoming year. With that, what questions do we have?
I had submitted about 17 questions, and the answer on the agenda questions was that it would, the presentation would answer some of my questions, but I didn't hear an answer to most of my questions, so I'm hoping that I can at least, and I'm going to spare everybody from asking them now, but if we can get my questions answered, that way it could be added to the questions and answers that's posted online for people to see, I would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Oh, go ahead, Mr. Glover.
Oh, no, you always do. Go ahead, please.
There are a couple things that I wish to express. First, obviously, it's awesome to see Higley doing as well as they are, right? Just outright, Higley does well in seemingly all areas. As far as CTE is concerned, a lot of that is thanks to you and your leadership and the time that you've been here at district, so I wish to express gratitude because clearly it is benefiting our students in remarkable ways. The idea that you can take these offerings and still stay on campus and still get involved in the clubs and do these types of things is awesome. And I think we as a society recognize and understand that there's a lot of different options that people can take, and having the opportunity to kind of get some of that underway at a high school level where things are a little bit less stressful and a little bit safer, I think is awesome. I can't speak to a lot of CTE because that's not an area that I have any experience in. One thing that I do have some experience in, and I think it is overwhelmingly remarkable, and I wish to express it just in case people in the community are not aware, the fact that you have as many dual enrollment teachers as you do is outstanding. For those who don't know, in order to be a dual enrollment teacher, you have to have a degree in the area with which you hope to teach. So sometimes when you look at a campus and you go, this campus offers dual enrollment, but this campus does not, it's because it's impacted by the person who is teaching it. And so it's remarkable that we have as many staff as we have who have degrees in this area and are coming here and doing what they can so our students not only can get some of these certifications, but they can get college access as well. Again, is truly a remarkable feat, and I think it's one of the great benefits to Higley in that we have overwhelmingly educated, qualified staff, and it is shown in our continuation in just about every area to be above our not only our counterparts around here, but state averages and all of that. So I wish to express gratitude, sir. Mr. Glover, go ahead.
All the same, but I wrote a few things down, so I just want to say thank you anyway, because we can't thank our teachers enough sometimes. So, Mr. Pearson, your passion obviously shines through in what you do, and we need passionate people in this profession for sure. So I want to thank you. I am super proud, likewise, of all of the things that we're able to offer to our students that were not available to me when I was a student, or to some of the students that go to different districts that are not Higley. And just to get all the certifications that they can get to prepare them for life outside of, high school is great. So, you said everything better than I did, but thank you. And could you also pass along to your teachers my gratitude anyway?
Absolutely.
Please.
Thank you so much. And yeah, it would not be possible if it wasn't for the great set of administrators and teachers that we do have working in these programs now. So I'm going to pass that on to them definitely.
I basically just want to echo the same thing, but I love to see these numbers and the 90% and the how well our students are doing. And on a personal level, I'm grateful that these programs exist. I have a child who traditional college will not be her route, and so I'm very excited that these programs exist for her. And I have a child in the early childhood program, and it's been amazing so far. So thank you.
President Wade, Mr. Pearson, this is so fun to see the numbers, how the retention and success of the students. I'm just trying to get a pulse in general, just kind of how you look at the productivity of the students, the enrollments in certain particular programs. If you choose, if certain programs to get more robust, put more finances there perhaps, and then the ones that are kind of dwindling, how often you reassess and regroup. I just want to get an idea on that with you, if that makes sense.
So we look at the numbers each year at our programs, and numbers alone can't really determine whether a program is successful or not. We have some programs that are quite small, like our technical theater programs, but they're very specific students that they target. And so it's a program that we wouldn't look at necessarily getting rid of because it's a small number, but because it serves a very important role and a very important group of students at our schools. But we do budget based on the number of students that are in a program when we're looking at staffing needs. So we never over or understaff a program. We typically use a 25-to-1 ratio for each one of our courses in CTE, which I know is below the typical student-to-teacher ratio of a core class. But given the fact that our kids are up and moving and doing hands-on lab-based work, we do keep that number a little lower. But we typically look at keeping our CTE staffing around a 25-to-1 ratio.
Thank you for letting me pick your brain.
Yeah.
This brings us to item 6.2, policy GBEBB, staff conduct and students, second read. Mr. Walker.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. We're bringing back tonight the second read for policy GBEBB. There was some legislative update to ARS 13-1430, and on behalf of a request from one of the governing board members to include that in our policy. It was added as a reference that was brought in the first read. Board member asked that we include some additional information, so before you guys tonight is the original first read along with the requested additional information that would be added to the policy.
I just want to say thank you for adding some of the suggested content verbiage to the policy, and I appreciate it.
So what you're welcome, thank you. What we have before you guys tonight is the GBEBB that's up on the screen right now. That is the original first read with the reference, and there's the supplemental document that has the other requested information. The suggestions weren't crafted in the policy, so we brought that forward tonight for the board to discuss of how that would be embedded into the existing policy.
Oh, yeah. I thought I noticed some of the suggested in the policy, but I guess I was wrong. Anyway, the only thing I would like to just say is typically, if suggestions are made by a specific board member, I know like in the past when we worked on a board member that recommended changes to like the dress code policy, that admin worked with the board member to update it. So it just the courtesy of that being extended to all board members, that if a board member is suggesting anything, that at least administration can work with the board member just so they know if anything's being added or not. Just as a common courtesy would be nice. Thank you.
Board Member Van Hook, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Walker, because every day seems like the same at sometimes, and things are hard to remember. I feel like these specific policies, when you talked about some of these suggestions, the way we ended it the last time was you were going to send in the two, so then we could see the two and then make decisions here today on what we are guiding them for when it comes to agenda item. Does that make sense? Because you talked about that there was, my assumption is these are the policies that we were talking about. There were a lot of statements that you made with it. And so I believe it was me, which you'd think I'd remember, specifically that asked, can we have them sent in side by side so I can understand what it was that you were talking about before we made some of the changes? Is that incorrect, Mr. Walker? Is this the same policy that we talked about that before?
Well, it's neither incorrect or correct. It's the same policy we discussed, but we're bringing it back. There's no action item tonight. We're bringing it back to bring the discussion, but we consulted with our attorney for recommendation to make sure that because we're referencing a criminal statute inside the policy, we want to make sure that we're operating underneath the legal guidance. And so Ms. O'Brien's here tonight, and she can maybe expand on what that looks like.
President Wade, board members, if I could just explain. So the board members' suggestions were reviewed by my law partner, Jennifer McLennan, and myself. And if you'd like, I can provide you what our analysis was to the superintendent.
That would be delightful, thank you.
Okay, so in general, the recommended changes were coming from HB 2310, which addresses child enticement. And in our review, that expectation of how employees of the district are expected to relate with students is covered in language that's already in policy GBEBB. And it says district staff are expected to comply with state and federal laws regarding maintaining appropriate boundaries with students consistent with professional, ethical, and legal, both state and federal standards. So in our opinion, we don't usually recommend that the board simply restate state law. And so you can see this more generically addresses the way employees are expected to relate to students, which of course is to forbid child enticement.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Bryan, part of the reason I guess that your recommendation would be that we don't try to elaborate on the law essentially is because sometimes you can do unintended consequences with respect to that. Like, I'm just trying to understand why that's the determination you guys provide, if that makes sense.
Sure. President Wade, board members, essentially, we thought that the issue that was requested by the board member was already included in statute, so that's why we didn't recommend the specific change. But if the board wishes to include that, then it certainly could be made as an amendment to the policy tonight. And if I can clarify, this will come back, this is an information item only, but it will come back on a third read at your next board meeting when you'll vote it.
Thank you.
Yeah, so one of the recommendations that I had was I wanted the policy to clearly state that staff are forbidden from requesting or encouraging students to share explicit images. And then I noticed number 18 on the policy, so that's why I originally assumed it was added, but I didn't go back to first read to see that that was already on there. I just assumed that this was an updated policy because it didn't come redlined. So it would be helpful also if we can see red lines, but I don't, would it have come redlined if there was additions?
It would come redlined. This one wasn't redlined because the only addition on the original policy, it's not on the screen now, but at the bottom in the references, that statute was included as a reference. I think it's actually blue in the document because it's a link. It links to the statute and ARS.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm okay with it the way it is, yeah.
Okay, sweet. So when it comes to us, Mr. Walker, assuming everybody else is on board with that, I'm assuming just because it was you who presented it, we're all good in terms of going with what the first read was in terms of recommendations?
Yes,
Okay.
may I just make one, okay, so years ago, my first career was actually in politics. So when you want to make an amendment, I understand what everyone is saying, but you sort of have to come, we can't meet and we don't talk outside of here. I can talk to one person and I can talk to anyone in the cabinet that I want, but I can't talk to 3 or 4 people. So sometimes when we get up here, it looks kind of ugly and messy because I don't know what everyone is thinking. But anyway, when you want to amend these things, it really is helpful also to come with specific suggestions and then propose, an amendment to the policy. And we all have to work together to get that done, but that speeds things up. But it's messy to watch, laws and policies get made.
President Wade, if I may, I just want to ask about the staff training. Will this be part of is it vector training?
Yeah, so GBEBB specifically is trained for all employees of the school district. And so that they actually reference the direct policy and it's provided to every member of our employment group.
Great, thank you.
Good. All right, great. This brings us to item 6.3, policy JLIF, sex offender notifications, second read. Mr. Walker, still you.
Sure, so good evening, members of the board. JLIF is a similar request. There was some changes to the statutory language about registered sex offenders within the school community. So we brought back a change that was recommended through the ASBA policy service. One of the changes was that sex offenders come in levels 1, 2, and 3, with level 3 being the most egregious. It added some language to hold level 1 sex offenders accountable as well if they're convicted of what they would deem as a dangerous crime against children. And so we added that to the language. And then the second part is interesting language addition because it's not us notifying, it's the police department notifying the school that there's a offender who has legal custody of a child. So that's a new change to the language also. And so we added both of those to the first read, and then the board member had requested some additional changes. And so we brought that to the attorney for input, and that's where we're at again tonight for a second read to see what would be appropriate for us to include in the policy.
Well, hello again, Ms. O'Brien. Welcome to Higley, because I am after answers again. If you could express samesies, I would appreciate it.
Sure. So President Wade, board members, again, I reviewed this with my law partner, Jennifer McLennan, together. So the changes in this policy were actually recommended within the body of the policy, so it was a little different than policy GBEBB. But the changes that are recommended are directed at law enforcement and the courts, and so we didn't recommend including them in because, again, it doesn't really have to do with the operation of the school district. It's the law enforcement's obligation, not the school district's. On page 2 of the document that was submitted by the board member, there was a request that the notifications be affirmatively distributed to parents, teachers, guardians, and custodians, and state statute simply is repeated within the policy that the information may be distributed on request. There isn't an affirmative obligation of the school to distribute the information. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
So I guess my question is, because it says notification must be given out in non-electronic format, so is the district going to opt in to have it sent electronically? Because that's part of the statute. It says that it will be in non-electronic format unless the recipient opts in.
I don't know the answer to that question. I think that'd be a district question.
So currently our process is that we receive notification from the Gilbert Police Department from their sex crimes unit. They send to me as a trifold pamphlet anytime somebody moves into a Gilbert area or zip code as a registered sex offender. From that, then I cross-reference that with our Synergy database and see if it is a parent in the school district, or if they're even within the school district boundaries, if they're living near any of our schools, things of that nature. So we received the paper. I've never received anything contrary to opt out of paper. I wouldn't know where that would even begin. Nobody's ever contacted and asked. I just got one in the mail yesterday, so they're still sending paper as of right now. I can definitely look into that. I would prefer to get the paper copy, because then that way we get it and I store it and we have an archive of it, whereas the electronic one is, subject to who knows what happens to it and if it's sent out or not. I have a direct contact there, so I can look into to see what that protocol looks like.
Yeah, I just as far as being able to receive the information quicker, I would assume that an electronic format would be more preferred. That way it's not waiting on snail mail. The other thing with the upon request, my concern is if we don't know, if the community doesn't know that there is somebody, then how do they go about requesting it if they're not notified? So what would be your recommendation for community members in order to, is there a website that they can sign up at to be notified in order to file such request? I think just for the sake of transparency, if we can notify the community, even though the statute doesn't say that we have to, that it does say upon request, it would just be helpful. I would want to know, and I can't request something I know nothing about. So, or does somebody have a standing request on a monthly basis for this information, and then we've got 50, 100 people with a standing request for the same information.
That's a great question, and I would turn to our legal counsel to see how we can manage that. What does that look like within the operations of a school district? What can we do? How should we go about that? And those are great questions for the attorney.
All right, President Wade, Ms. Van Hoek. It would be legally permissible to do what you're doing. It's just what that would look like administratively. It's not prohibited by the statute, so it's a board decision on how you want to do that. It would just be, figuring out with Glendale or Gilbert PD how to do that, and administratively, what would be the burden.
Okay.
Sorry, it's based off your question, I apologize. Doesn't Gilbert PD notify us anyways? So I guess I'm misunderstanding your concern in that my assumption is, as a parent, I would only be concerned with what's in my immediate area, not necessarily all of Gilbert, because, I'd like to sleep at night. So I guess my question is, if Gilbert PD is already notifying when it's in your immediate area, what is it that, I'm just misunderstanding your question, I guess.
Okay, so the portion that my question is part of is where it says measures to provide teachers, parents, guardians, or custodians upon request. So regarding juvenile adjudicated delinquent of dangerous offenses or sex offenses. So let's say if it's a juvenile, the law says upon request. Okay. So as a parent, I would want to know if this juvenile who's committed this offense is at my child's school or in her, in her classroom. And so that's why, if we could establish a notification process instead of waiting for a parent to find out and then it's kind of blows up,
I guess for my person, and maybe we can, get some communication as we progress through in terms of before it comes as an agenda item on administratively what that would look like. I guess my concern is the following things. To be clear, in no way, shape, or form do I want anybody to be the victim of any sexual assault crime at all, full stop, to be clear. I guess my concern or question would be is protections of a minor, considering the fact that you have some laws that exist, and I don't know what our laws are. So to be clear, I'm talking about things that may not necessarily be impacting the state of Arizona. But for example, I know that the state of California at one point had a law in which if you had an 18-year-old and a minor, so let's say a 17-year-old, and they're separated by 2 months, like I was in high school when I dated somebody kind of deal, right? One is legally an adult, I'm a minor. In situations of heteronormative, so it was male to female, when that was a problem, oftentimes it was left to the judge's discretion on whether or not that individual had to be charged or register as an offender, because we're dealing with teenagers being teenagers kind of deal, and it depends on the circumstance. Again, I'm not here advocating for any kind of sexual assault or any of that. I guess my question would come down to legally, the individual still has rights and is still a minor at the end of the day. And so I guess my question is if we can get some clarification before we make that next agenda item on what that would look like, so I can have a better understanding before I make a decision. That would be great if my question makes sense, that is.
Yeah, President Wade, board members, I don't have the question or the answer to that question, but I can certainly look into it and provide it to the superintendent to distribute. And
can I just also add that I'm not in receipt, and never have been, of any juvenile sex offenders. The notifications I was referring to are purely for adults, and that's the top half of the policy where it addresses what to do if a parent is a sex offender. And that is our process, is that once we receive that notification, make direct contact, and then that person is prohibited from accessing a campus without explicit instructions and supervision, and it has to be for very specific circumstances, so they cannot be unsupervised on the campus. So basically they can't come on the campus if we're notified, but we've never received any indication or notification about a juvenile sex offender.
Okay. You mean from Gilbert? Is that, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
And I hope we never do. I hope it's never an issue and no such incident occurs. with any of our students. But I guess we'll await on an answer from our attorney and then go from there.
And also, Board Member Van Hook, to Mr. Glover's point, based off whatever answers kind of deal, should you wish, because at least the way I'm understanding it, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you are fine with the original, right? But should you desire that specific, based off whatever answers, those kinds of deals, come with that amendment kind of deal for the agenda, and then that way we can, rather than sending two different versions going forward, that would be, nice, so it's less confusing.
Yes.
Sweet. I appreciate it, by the way.
Thank you.
All right. This is action items. Look at us. 7.1, selection of the ASBA Delegate Assembly representatives and an alternate. Do we have any questions or comments on this?
Well, so are we, so part of it was to discuss the actual political agenda, because we have to, whoever the delegate is has to present that at the meeting.
Well, considering I went last year, you don't necessarily present, so we missed because we didn't ask about it, and to be clear, I didn't know kind of deal. Last year we went through and we made our recommendations on what we as a district would put forth, and then when we showed up to the meeting, they basically just talked about it. It wasn't like the districts themselves were presenting stuff necessarily, but the district members, if they wished to make a comment on something, they could. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So is there like a specific thing that you would like to discuss? Are you desiring to be the representative who goes?
Well, I was selected to be last year and unfortunately had a death in the family, so I couldn't attend, and I believe you attended. I'm not sure if you attended in person or online.
Online, but you could
Okay.
see the whole. I was online.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, if you guys don't want to go through the agenda items, that's fine. And then, I don't mind. I was bummed I couldn't attend last year, so I don't mind attending.
I'll second that.
And then, that's, so we don't have to go through the agenda if we don't desire to.
If you have something.
It's a very long agenda, and
It
I
is
know it takes
indeed
a lot of
is.
time. So.
And when I briefly looked over it, it looks a lot of very similar things to some of the stuff that was last year. Does anybody else have, go ahead, yeah.
No, I was just saying, President Wade, I attended 2 years ago, and we get a vote, but we don't get a say. It's not, so going through the agenda wouldn't really make sense because we don't get, right, a lot of say on anything that happens during it.
Yeah, just based on their instructions, it seemed like, you can, select a specific one that your board agrees on or whatever, but it doesn't seem like.
You can select things that, like 3 things that are important to you. Do they always take that? Not really. It depends on the overall and what other boards across the state vote on and say. So you could say, hey, we like these 3 things, but they've already done that, I believe. Correct?
Indeed.
So we can't do that at this point.
Also, when you show up, let's say there is a specific agenda item that directly impacts your district, you have the opportunity to express those types of things. So it sounds as if nobody else desires, we're all cool. I would assume we should take a vote on that at the end of the day, but we can vote for you, and then that way, should you be able to go this year, all that jazz. You can do it online or in person. I'm assuming we don't have to decide up here. You can work with Ms. Zimmerman to decide whether or not that's in person or online. Great, wonderful, fantastic.
So should we?
All those in favor?
No, should we formally nominate?
I motion.
Oh, well, I thought you did. You
motion.
seconded it. Confused me.
I was being silly, but.
Great, go ahead.
Make it official, and then we should have a secondary backup to alternate.
I motion to send Board Member Van Hook.
You want a second for real now?
Well, yeah, I'll second for real.
Okay, great. Mr.
And then-
Glover seconds.
And then can we add
Ms.
an
Van
alternate
Hook.
too?
Hold on, Scott Glover. Well, let's
could do
vote
it.
one, and then
We
we
can do one
can
and
do
the
the
other.
other. All right, great. All those in favor of sending Ms. Van Hook to the ASBA Delegate Assembly as a...
Aye.
Aye. Ms. Van Hook goes. 5-0.
And we have to select an alternate as well.
Yeah, I'm taking
Just-
that from his statement here, that whether or not he's doing it. I would like to nominate Mr. Glover.
Unless Mr. Herman wants to be an alternate. It really is, it's democracy in action, and it's less satisfying than you would think.
She's out of town.
Yeah, okay.
I'm out of the country.
Okay, well, then if you nominate, I will accept.
All right, does anybody, I nominated Mr. Glover. Anybody, you were seconding yourself? Is that what that was? Did you? No, I just.
Sure, I second my.
I motion to send Board Member Glover as the alternate to ASBA.
I will second Ms. Jarman's motion. Hold on a second. Let me make sure I write this down for Ms. Zimmerman. All those in favor of sending making Mr. Glover our alternate? This was painful.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Great. Mr. Glover is the alternate. Glover. Great. All right. So that now has passed. We have motion to pass for that. We are on 7.2, approval of overnight and/or out-of-state staff travel. Any questions or comments from the board before I motion?
President Wade, I do want to say that I believe it was last year or the year before, this also came up, and I explained that this organization is very heavily involved with DI initiatives, and as a district, we did sign an attestation that we would remove DEI within our district. And then there's also the issue of state law prohibiting us spending money on such organizations. And then there's also the fact that we're spending $7,000 on travel, bless you, on travel at a time when we are having to make cuts within our district. So that's all for now.
Ms. Rushkamp, correct me if I'm wrong, this comes out of Title II funding?
It does, I looked, it does.
Okay, so we aren't spending money. For those of you who are Title II would be grant. Is that, look at me. Excellent. So it's
correct.
grant.
It's a federal grant.
Perfect. And then as it has been answered in the, I don't know, board comments or board questions, that all staff attending understand what our policies are and where things are at. Also, just as a side, because I think it's really awesome, we have staff presenting, which I also think is really remarkable and can speak to, again, some of the great things that our staff is doing. And the fact that we are, sending people to this National Science Teaching Association is pretty commendable, so.
And just to be clear, a federal grant is still federal funding. Okay, thank you.
Anything else before I motion? All right, great. I motion that the governing board approves the overnight and/or out-of-state staff travel to the National Science Teaching Association, NSTA, National Conference in 2025.
Second.
That would be Ms. Schultz, seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Motion carries 3-2. Does anyone have any future requests for future agenda items?
President Wade, I would like to have a discussion on transparency and oversight.
Do we have any, can we narrow that down in terms of where are we desiring transparency and or oversight?
There's several things. So maybe I can relay that information, but
sure. And then
the main purpose is discussing transparency and board oversight.
So we can send that, maybe we can get like a response and status or something for whatever that is in terms of how we
Yeah, I
progress.
think we would need to know some of the specific concerns when you look at transparency and oversight. Those are very general, but if there's a certain specific topic, transparency and oversight of blank, then please send us the blank.
All right, perfect. Anything else?
And just to be clear, so I don't want it to be status. I want it to be an actual agenda item so that we can discuss it publicly.
Okay, yeah, send us as we work. Send it to both Christine and myself as we work to prepare.
Sure. Anything else?
I'm sorry, and because I wasn't up here, I don't know if I can do this, but because I wasn't up here, I wasn't able to ask regarding public speaking that one of the situations brought up by Miss Mary Ann to be looked into.
Yes.
Thank you.
I motion to adjourn this meeting. That would be Ms. Van Hook seconding. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0.